Ooh, ooh. Can we do it? Hi, my name is Jocelyn. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm 25, living here in my home in the Blackstone Valley of Massachusetts. I live here with my two cats, Frog and Toad, they're sisters, and my partner David. This channel is going to be a partner to my creative business that I started in early 2021 called All We Make Is Good. I used to go by Ellen Joss back then, but I've recently changed that. I started off as mainly a painter. I kind of discovered painting in early 2021. It was something that I hadn't really done before. I'd done maybe one painting, and I wasn't sure that I liked how it came out. And I tend to be one of those people where if it's not what I expected on the first try, I don't usually pick it back up again. But I did, and I'm so thankful that I did. So my business all last year was focused on digital and traditional artwork. I focus on a lot of farming and gardening themed artwork. And on the side of that, I also am a psychic. So I do energy readings and I create custom runes. But I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I just want to focus on the crafting side today. So recently I have kind of opened up what I do within All We Make Is Good, which is another reason for the name change. I decided that I wanted to start incorporating a lot of my other hobbies that I do instead of just focusing on painting. I like the idea of keeping the same kind of a theme where I do a lot of farming and gardening themed projects. I take a lot of inspiration from the natural world around us, especially trees and birds a lot of the time. But I love gardening as well. And I'm hoping at some point in my life I will have my own self-sustained homestead, and I hope to draw a lot of inspiration from that as well. I have my notes over here, so if you catch me looking over here, that's why. So recently I wanted to start incorporating all the rest of the things that I do. I describe myself as an all of the above hobbyist. I do a lot of knitting and crochet. I do some sewing. I do my painting, of course. I'm also a writer, and I love going thrifting, so I find a lot of things that way that inspire me as well. And I mean, I do a lot of other things here and there as well, but not to the same degree that I do the rest of these things. I very recently, within the last couple of months, kind of rediscovered my old passion for knitting. I began knitting when I was about 7 years old. My mom taught me how to cast on the long tail method and how to do the knit and the purl stitch. And I actually have my very first knit project. Hang on. This is a still unblocked knit project that I did. This is pretty much the very first thing that I ever knit. I'd say I didn't do too bad. It's a blanket for my stuffed animal. It has this tiny, am I showing that right? It has a tiny heart made of pearls in the middle and this little pearl band at the top. Looking at it now, I can see like a ton of mistakes where I don't even know what I did in these little spots where there's holes, and it's like I have 2 stitches knit into the same spot, but it's also twisted, and I don't know, it's like I have knots in the middle of it. But anyways, I love this thing. Maybe I should block this. Anyways, This stays with my stuffed animal. I've had him since I was 5. His name is Spring. And this is Spring's blanket. So that's the very first knitting project that I ever worked on. And I've come a long way since then. I started getting into garments when I was in college. And the first 3 serious garments that I made were just absolutely terrible. One of them was an incredibly simple, kind of a long sweatshirt, I guess you call it. Incredibly simple. It has like basic garter stitch. It's knit in 2 pieces, so it's like a big rectangle on top, and then you just keep knitting down after you cast off a bunch of stitches under the arms. It's 2 massive boxes, and I messed it up. When I started knitting, I would cast on the number of stitches that it recommended in the pattern and look at it and think there's no way that this is big enough. And I think for that particular pattern, I either doubled or tripled my cast on because it didn't look right. So as you can imagine, it's about this wide, and the sleeves were so long that I very early had to learn how to steek. So I had to crochet like all the way around the sleeve and then cut it off where I wanted it. And I used it as pretty much a poncho / blanket in college. I did wear it. The next 2 projects that I did just also weren't wearable, basically. One of them was done in very chunky yarn when it should not have been. I think it called for like maybe a worsted weight, and I used chunky, and it was all cables, and it didn't work. It didn't work out. It was so stiff. I could not wear it. And then another one, I started the project in a roving type yarn and hated working with it so much. I put it down for years and then picked it back up, I think, last year or the year before. And of course, by then, the yarn that I was using was discontinued. So I had to finish it with something completely different. And it was like, it started like here on one sleeve and then down here in the other sleeve and then like in the middle of the chest and went up with a completely different yarn. I unraveled that already. I took that apart completely, and I do plan on unraveling the other 2 early projects that I had done to recycle the yarn, because I do still like the yarn that I used. And that kind of leads me into, I have started getting into unraveling in general. So I go shopping at my local thrift stores and I pick out sweaters in both the men's and the women's sections that have fiber contents that I really like. And especially in the very large sizes, they're only $4 to $8, and you get such a crazy amount of yarn out of that. Let me go grab my pile. Okay, I decided to grab my 2 very old knits as well that I'm going to unravel. This is the poncho. It is so big. I can't help but laugh every time I look at it. And these are my steeked sleeves, where it's unraveling quite nicely, I might say. So this is going to get unraveled quite quickly. Every stripe is a full ball of yarn. So yeah, I can't wait to reuse all of this yarn. My other one was this right here. And this is actually a really nice sweater. I think the pattern was called Valentina. I think it was a free pattern too. And all of this gorgeous, gorgeous cabling. I had so much fun making this, even though it took me like 3 years to do. It's got this beautiful, I think this is moss stitch. I want to say moss stitch, or maybe it's seed stitch. I don't really know the difference off the top of my head, if I'm being totally honest. Another thing that I was planning to do when I knit this was, I don't even know if it's technically brioche. I've never knit brioche before, but when I was planning this out, I wanted to do the cables, all of the detailed cable work in the light color, and then I wanted to do everything else, all of the background stitches, all the purl stitches basically, I wanted to do in this darker color. I realized pretty much immediately that I was not qualified for that. So I didn't do that. I ended up making a stylistic choice of the back panel and one sleeve was going to be one color, and then the front panel and another sleeve was going to be the other color. And then I think I had some left over and just decided I wanted to do the collar in the lighter color. This yarn is super soft and it's really nice, and I would love to knit something a little bit more basic with it in, of course, the right gauge, not like a super bulky yarn on like a size 5mm needle. So that was the wrong choice. It is extremely heavy, and I think when I put it on, it only just like barely comes to my waist area, and I prefer my sweaters to be a lot longer. I would have added probably 3 or 4 more inches I would have added. But this was back when I was following patterns. I don't do that anymore. I have become a knitter that does not knit from patterns. I just kind of make up whatever I envision. I work on it and frog it back and work on it and frog it back until I eventually get it right. And I've actually learned quite a lot about knitting and construction in general from doing it that way. The construction on this sweater is actually still really interesting to me, even though I've never done it since this. And you knit there's like a shoulder panel, and then you knit the sleeves. All of this was knit flat, back and forth. So the sleeve has like the sleeve cap, and then the shoulder strip, and then each of the front and the back pieces were knit separate, and then you have to seam it all up, which took absolutely forever for me as a fairly beginner knitter. Anyways, this will be getting unraveled, and I will be reusing this yarn because I still really like it. This was done with one of the super bulky yarns from Michaels, probably like 7 years ago now. This was knit with everything except the top. I actually have 2 different blacks in here. The top is the Red Heart Super Saver black, and then some of it is the Karen Simply Soft, and then the rest of this is all Karen Simply Soft yarn, which I also recently knit another sweater in. Maybe I'll show you that. Let me try that again. So this is one of my more recent knits, and this is entirely done in Karen Simply Soft. And I've embroidered a rooster across it, and it actually wraps around the side and goes onto the back. These are the tail feathers. You can't really get a good effect just holding it up, but I didn't have much trouble with the Caron Simply Soft. I mean, it's extremely soft. I've worked with mostly acrylic yarns my whole life, and I've only just recently started getting into things like cottons or wool blends. So for the most part, my stash is all acrylic for now, but later in the video, I'm going to show you some new yarns that I got that are not acrylic. So anyways, this is how my knitting has evolved. This actually fits me, so that's a start. All right, and then so, goodness, I'm on already like 6 tangents. So I'm just gonna show them very quickly. This one is, I think, 100% cotton. I'm sure it is. Oh, 58% cotton, 42% acrylic. When I was going through Savers, I was trying to find things like 100% cotton because I hadn't worked with that before until very recently. But I mean, I haven't unraveled these, so I haven't had a chance to work with it yet. I'm really interested to see what happens when I take this apart. So that's one of them. I'm just gonna go through the rest really quickly. A lot of it was just colors that I really liked. Like, I love yarn that has both black and white in the threads. So this is a big one. This is a nice big sweatshirt. This one is the only one that I got that was 100% acrylic, and it's because it's, wow, this is really gray. I swear in the store this was like green. It was like a very nice dark forest green. I'm realizing just now that it's very gray. Is this the one? This is the one. Anyways, it's ridiculously soft either way, so I do plan on unraveling and using that fairly soon, I think. This is men's, and when I look at these, I usually hope for larger, like chunkier yarn, but I mean, I can always, because this is such a large size, I can unravel this and then use 2 or 3 strands to make something. But I really like this color. Nice dark green. I'm a big fan of dark greens. Okay, go through it again. So this is just a nice dark blue with the white, which I really like. This was a nice chocolatey brown that I really enjoy. And we have one more, just another neutral color, because I haven't worked with too many neutrals before. Am I calling myself out? Those are both neutrals for the most part. Anyways, I really wanted to try this. Okay, I think I'm gonna go into what I'm actually working on right now, which is this project right here. I am currently knitting, oh my god, my needles are all over the place. This is a top-down pair of shorts that I'm knitting for my partner David. He asked for a pair of shorts this year. I've only ever knit him one other thing, and it was a sweater, and it was in those Caron latte cakes, the kind of very fuzzy yarn from Michaels. It came out really nice, actually. So yeah, this is the shorts. I've already done the folded over band, and I think this is my first time successfully doing a yarn over. So I have 2 little yarn overs, and I'm going to find some cord of some kind and slip it through. This is folded over, so this can hold something inside. And that way it's going to be like a drawstring waist, so that he can adjust it however he feels. And this is being knit in Barocco Pima cotton. And this is the first time I'm working with 100% cotton. I really like it. It just slides so easily on the needles, which when I'm handling it not knitting is actually a problem because it feels like everything's going to slide right off. But This wasn't as expensive as I anticipated. I think I usually expect things are going to be about twice the price of acrylic at minimum. And this actually wasn't that bad. This was $10 at a local yarn store. So I'm really happy with it so far. I think I'm almost out of the first skein already. So I'm definitely going to need another one because these are going to be pretty loose, kind of baggy shorts. My idea is it's going to be all plain stockinette for the most part. The only detail that I have added is a little pearl stripe down both of the sides. And then I think what I'm going to do is go back and probably crochet like a chain up both of the sides of the pearl stripe in white to kind of give it a little bit more interest. This is all self-drafted and mostly making it up as I go. The only thing that I've planned ahead is the stitch count and general construction ideas. So like I know I need to go down a certain amount and then split for the legs and then go down another certain amount. That's pretty much all I've planned so far, so we'll see how it goes. I think I'm probably going to need at least one more to finish this project. That is the only thing that I'm actually working on. I do have other crochet projects that I'm working on, but I'm not going to show those. I don't have them with me and I don't want to go downstairs to get them. I tend to be a very monogamous knitter. I don't think ever in my life I've ever been working on more than one project at a time. So, anyways, I want to show you guys, I got a ton of yarn. I found a new yarn shop close by to me. It's called Peter Patches Yarn in Central Falls, Rhode Island. If you are even remotely close to Central Falls, Rhode Island, and you enjoy shopping for yarn, you need to visit Peter Patches Yarn. I don't think I'll ever shop anywhere else for the rest of my life. I'll probably even buy from him online if I move across the country because that's how amazing it was. I think all except for some yarn that he carries are all in cones. So this is my first time working with cones, but I got 20 pounds, a little bit over 20 pounds of yarn for under $100 from his store. He was like, oh, I'm not going to see you for like a year now. And I said, I will find a way to come back. So anyways, without further ado, this is the smallest cone that I got. And I love these colors. I love it. This is actually rayon. And let me see if I can show you. It's so fine. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine it with either cotton or wool. I'm not really sure which one I would like to do. Probably cotton because that's the season that we're in. I'm not going to wear wools right now. So I'm going to probably combine this with a white cotton and knit up some kind of a top. I have a couple of designs right now in my knitting notebook. Just a couple little doodles of certain tops that I want to try to make. Probably going to take me a while to get there. I'm focusing on the shorts right now. But eventually I'm going to make a top with this and probably pair it with some white yarn. And this is 100% cotton. It's definitely white, but it's got like the tiniest tinge of pink. It's like the lightest pink you could possibly get. And I'm so excited. It has a lot of variation in thickness. So like there's some, oh, that's blocking my light. There's some bits that are a little bit thicker and some that are a lot finer. Again, this is super fine yarn. So I'm going to end up using a lot of strands because I have never worked with fingering weight as far as knitting goes. I have worked with it for crochet, but crochet is kind of a whole different story for finer yarns. We'll go into the next one. This is, now I have to remember what he said it was. It was like poly cotton, it was like poly rayon and silk mix. I have no idea on the percentages. I would tell you guys who made these. I think this is Nortex spun rayon in the color Bluestone Print. But a lot of these cones I don't think have that much information. Let me put this down before I drop something. This is by Doran Textiles, and there's no information else in the cone. That's Doran Textiles right there. This one, Broadnax Mills, Tusa Taupe. Oh, okay, here we go. So it's poly, flax, and silk. Ah, that's really cool. Yeah, poly, flax, and silk. And I love this color. I'm also going to be pairing this probably with this white color as well at some point and make another top with this. I have several summer top ideas, so we're getting there. Here, we'll go to this one. This is my favorite purchase from yesterday. I am so in love with this color. This is the color Ginger. Is it? There's a lot of stickers on the inside that are like overlapping. The one on top says Ginger, but I don't see who made it. He did tell me that a lot of his yarn comes from mills, especially in the southern United States. And he basically just buys up all of their excess, which can be like 100, 200 pounds of yarn. So this is 100% cotton. I do know that. He said that to me. And this is another crazy, crazy fine yarn. So I asked him at the store, I said, if I want to knit with multiple strands from the same cone, how do I even do that? And he said that I'm going to have to wind up separate balls, which I'm going to do probably later today. I'm going to do probably 4 or 5. I don't have a scale, so I'm just going to have to eyeball how big they are and hope that they're kind of the same. But I do have a ball winder, so I don't have to do that by hand with this teeny, teeny, tiny yarn. So that is a small blessing there. All right, I also have this one, which I saw as I was pretty much about to leave. And this is 100% acrylic, but I fell in love with the colors pretty much as soon as I saw it. And he was just like, take it. So I have this and no idea what I'm going to make with it right now. But the colors are so pretty. There's like tiny, tiny bits of like lavender and like blush pinks in there. And it's just such a small hint of it, but it brings so much character to this yarn and I really like it. Oh, I shouldn't stack that there. It's gonna block all of my light. And finally, my biggest cone. This is over 5 pounds of 100% wool. And this is the only wool that I picked up. And it's again in like this off-white color. I don't know where the start of it is, but it's fairly fine. So I might combine two strands and knit something like that, but I probably won't be touching this until fall time, and then I'll start trying to knit something with this. And by that time I'll probably have visited again and found other colors to pair with that. So those are all of my cones that I got. And again, I got all of this for just under $100. So I have enough yarn for a very, very long time to make a lot of projects. Especially with summer tops. I've never made anything short sleeved before, so I don't really know how much yarn it's gonna take. I am really, really bad about doing gauge swatches and about measuring how much yarn I use. And oh, that was the other thing. I wanted to see how much each of these was in grams, but I completely forgot to look that up. I will try to put that in the description maybe. Let me see. This is color Magnolia. It says Merida on it. I don't know if that's the company that makes it or crafted with pride in the USA. I don't know if Merida is the type of wool or if Merida is the company that makes it. Why does it say 100% nylon? Oh, this cone is probably just reused. It is 100% wool. I do know that. Okay, well, unfortunately there isn't much more information that I can give on that. But yeah. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to show you for this video is all of the books that I just got today at my local thrift store. So this is the Knitter's Book of Finishing Techniques, which I'm really excited to go through because I've seen a lot of people start mentioning tubular bind off and like Italian bind off or cast on. Can't remember which one people like to use, but I tend to just be like a long tail cast on and plain and simple bind off. So I haven't gotten into too many methods of like really nice finishes, things that are nice and stretchy, stuff like that. So I am excited to go through that. This one is Better Homes and Gardens Crochet and Knitting. I have no idea what year this came out. Fourth printing 1979. Wow, is this really 1979? Well, anyways, Better Homes and Garden Crochet and Knitting 1979. It's all like blankets and stuff, things to put over. I think there's a couple pillowcases. Yeah, there's like really big bedspreads. But there's like little doilies and stuff. So that's that one. And then I did get Better Homes and Gardens rug making because that is something that I want to try doing. I would love to start thrifting old t-shirts and cut them up into strips and use them to make really colorful kind of wacky rugs. So in my home, the upstairs, as you can see, is all carpet, but that will eventually get replaced with hardwood floor. Not sure when, because I'm going to be doing it myself with one of my brothers, and yeah, that's going to be another project in itself. But anyways, these are like really fun. I think this one might be hooked and needlepoint rugs. So that's that one. But there's all sorts of different ways to make rugs in here. There's crocheted rugs, all sorts of different ways. So I am excited to get into that eventually. This one is Patterns, Profiles, and Stories of America's Leading Artisans. So Knitting in America. And I've never picked up a book like this. This is published, let me see, what year is this? 1996, it looks like. 1996, and there's tons of different, I don't think that there's any patterns in here. I think it's just about the artists. And I haven't looked through these books yet. So I actually have really no idea what's in here, but I thought it was, ooh. There's a picture right there. I really like that one. I love doing like super vibrant colors surrounded by black. I think it looks so sharp and interesting. Which actually reminds me, I'm working on my very first granny square project, which is exactly that concept. Bright colors surrounded by black, and I plan on making a cardigan with it. Here's Meg Swanson. It's a lot of really interesting color work. I don't do color work. I have not done color work yet with knitting. What you see that's color work is because I embroidered it on the top. I am very afraid of color work, so I haven't gotten there yet, but I also really, really want to try. So I'm doing color work with crochet, even though I have no idea how to weave in ends for crochet projects, because usually what I crochet is stuffed animals, where it's very easy to hide the tails inside and you know they're not going to unravel. You just kind of loop it through the back a little bit and then it's fine. But doing something like a cardigan, especially with granny squares and the double crochet stitching, I don't know how to weave in ends. I am doing my best. Anyways, that is everything that I have around me to show you. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know me a little bit and what I have going on at the moment. I have no idea what my posting schedule is going to be like. I will try to do minimum once a month. I'm hoping at least 2 or 3 times a month. I don't know if I can commit to every week. But I want to do a lot of sharing like this of what I have recently acquired, projects that I'm working on, my progress on those projects since I only work on one at a time, my future ideas for new projects, things like that. I have a feeling this channel is going to be primarily about knitting and less about the rest of my hobbies, unless it's just like a quick, here's something I painted and now about knitting. So that's my plan. Thank you all for watching today and getting to know me a little bit. And I hope you stick around. Thank you so much. Bye.